You know exactly what you want to say. The sentence is ready. You open your mouth to speak, and nothing.
The word is just gone, completely erased from your brain.
And suddenly, you are playing a game of charades, trying to describe a very simple object using wild hand gestures.
Exactly. I did this yesterday. I forgot the word for stapler and had to ask my coworker for the metal paper biting machine.
Okay, that made me laugh. The metal paper biting machine. Welcome back to Everyday English Learning, the podcast for practical conversations and real-life language.
Hello, I'm Jake.
And I'm Lily. Today, we are talking about vocabulary words you can actually use today, and how to remember them faster.
Because memorizing a list of 50 words on a Monday is great, but if you cannot remember them by Tuesday, it feels like a waste of time.
It really does. So today, we are going to look at the difference between words you understand when you read them and words you can actually pull into a live conversation.
We call that your active vocabulary. We will share a specific word breakdown method to help you move words from your notebook into your daily speaking habits.
Plus, we will give you a few highly useful, everyday English phrases to practice right away.
I definitely need this method, especially after my struggle at the office yesterday.
We are definitely going back to that story. What happened after you asked for the paper biting machine?
Let's just say my coworker looked very confused, and I learned a valuable lesson about my own memory.
All right, so take me back to the office. Tell me exactly what happened when you asked for the metal paper biting machine.
Well, I was standing at the printer. I had 50 pages in my hand, and I was running slightly late for a meeting. I needed to attach the pages together, and my brain just went completely blank.
So you looked at your coworker and used that exact phrase?
I did. I made a clicking motion with my hands and said, "Do you have the metal paper biting machine?" He just gave me a very slow blink, handed me the object and said, "Do you mean the stapler?"
I should not laugh, but the image of you gesturing wildly at a desk is very funny.
Fair. It was not my best professional moment. But inside my head, I was screaming, "Yes, a stapler! I know that word. I have known it for 30 years.
That is the worst feeling. When someone says the word and you instantly recognize it, but you just could not find it yourself.
And that brings us to a huge assumption people make about learning English. We tend to think human memory is like a bucket.
A bucket?
Yes, you learn a new word, you drop it into the memory bucket, and it just stays there. Whenever you need it, you just reach in and pull it out.
But the brain is not a bucket. It is more like a massive network of roads. And this is where we have to talk about passive vocabulary versus active vocabulary.
Right. Passive vocabulary is the huge city of words you understand when you are reading a book or listening to a podcast.
If someone says the word to you, you recognize it instantly. You do not need to look it up in a dictionary. The road for recognizing the word is wide and paved.
But active vocabulary is the much smaller group of words you can actually produce yourself while speaking in real time.
And this is the trap for language learners. You study a list of 50 new adjectives. You highlight them in a book, read the definitions, and feel great because you understand them.
You spend all your time paving the recognition road, but you assume that automatically builds the production road. It does not.
So when you are finally in a conversation with a native speaker, you freeze. You draw a blank. That is a great phrase for our learners today. To draw a blank means your mind suddenly goes completely empty when you try to remember something.
Exactly. I drew a blank at the printer. The word was on the tip of my tongue, which means I felt like I almost had it, but I could not speak it out loud.
But wait, I have an objection here. You already knew the word stapler. It was not a new vocabulary word for you. So why did your road break?
Because of stress, I was rushing and slightly anxious. For English learners, the stress is just talking to someone in a second language. That pressure immediately blocks the weak roads to your new vocabulary.
That makes total sense. When we feel nervous, we revert back to our safest, oldest words. We stop using the new adjectives and just say good or bad.
You rely on the deepest roads. So the real complication is this. How do we take a word off a piece of paper and force it to become a permanent, active road in our brains?
We have to stop reading words and start building memories with them. Let me tell you about a mistake I made when I was learning Spanish. I was visiting Madrid for the first time.
Oh, I love a story where you make a mistake. It makes me feel much better about my stapler incident.
Fair. I was at a cafe, and I wanted to order sparkling water. I had studied the exact phrase that morning. I wrote it down 3 times. I felt totally prepared.
So you sat down, the waiter came over to your table, and what happened?
The waiter looked at me, spoke incredibly fast, and my brain panicked. Instead of the correct Spanish phrase, I confidently pointed at a bottle and said, "Angry water, please."
Angry water. That is amazing. Honestly, I kind of prefer that name. Did he know what you meant?
He did, actually. He smiled and brought the sparkling water. But here is the lesson. I had only built a reading road. I looked at the words on my paper, and I understood them perfectly.
But you never practiced the production road. You never actually moved your mouth and said the phrase out loud before the waiter arrived.
Exactly. And that brings us to the word breakdown method. If you want to use a vocabulary word today, you cannot just read the definition. You have to create a personal sentence and speak it aloud.
Let's try this right now with a common professional phrase. A lot of learners want to use the phrase, "off the top of my head."
That is a perfect target phrase. It means giving an answer immediately, using only your memory, without checking any notes or data.
Right. So the weak attempt is just writing it in a notebook. You write, "off the top of my head" means from memory. Then you close the notebook and hope you remember it during a meeting.
Which means you will probably just fall back on your safe vocabulary and say, "I do not know. Let me check." To fall back on something means to use a safe, familiar option when your first plan fails.
Like falling back on the phrase metal paper biting machine because the real word vanished.
Okay, we are definitely never letting you forget that. But let's build a stronger road for off the top of my head. Step 1 of the word breakdown method is finding a realistic trigger.
A trigger? You mean a specific situation where you would actually need to use this phrase?
Yes. When do people ask you unexpected questions? Maybe your manager asks about project numbers. You imagine your manager looking at you. That specific moment is the trigger.
Step 2 is writing a completely personal, true sentence. Not a textbook sentence. Something you would actually say at your specific job.
Exactly. So your personal sentence model could be, "Off the top of my head, I think we have 20 clients." You connect the new English phrase to your daily reality.
Then step 3 is the most important part. You have to say it out loud, in an empty room, pretending your manager is there. You have to physically practice the muscle movement.
Because speaking is a physical action. If your tongue and lips have never shaped those exact words together, they will refuse to do it when you are nervous.
But I have a counterpoint here. Even if I practice in my living room 50 times, a real conversation is totally unpredictable. I might still freeze when my manager actually asks the question.
That is a completely fair point. Practicing in your living room is safe. Your manager's office is not safe. The stress will always change how your brain works.
Exactly. In my living room, I am a confident, fluent English speaker. In the office, I am the guy looking for a paper-biting machine.
You are never going to let that go, are you? But your objection brings up a very important distinction. We have to look at the difference between rehearsing a script and training for retrieval.
Training for retrieval. That sounds like I am training a dog to fetch a ball.
It is actually very similar. To retrieve something means to go get it and bring it back. Your brain has to run down the road, grab the word, and bring it back to your mouth.
Right. And under pressure, the brain is too tired or stressed to run down a new unpaved road.
Yes. When you just repeat a sentence 50 times, you are rehearsing a script. You already know what word comes next. There is no surprise, so your brain is not working hard.
That makes sense. I am just reading the script from my memory. But in a real conversation, the manager's question is a surprise.
Exactly. The manager asks a question, and suddenly you have to search for the answer. You have to retrieve it. If you have only practiced the script, you have never practiced the search.
Okay, so how do we practice the search? How do we build a road that survives the stress of a real office?
You have to add friction to your practice. You have to make it a little bit difficult to remember the word. The harder your brain works to retrieve the word during practice, the stronger the road becomes.
So if the target phrase is off the top of my head, what does adding friction actually look like? Do I do jumping jacks while I speak?
Honestly, jumping jacks might actually work because they add physical stress. But an easier way is called spaced retrieval. You write your personal sentence, say it once, and then change the subject completely.
Change the subject? You mean I stop studying the word?
Just for a few minutes, go make a cup of coffee. Answer an email. Let your brain think about something else. Then, suddenly ask yourself, wait, what was that phrase from my manager?
Oh, I see. By waiting a few minutes, the word fades from my immediate memory. I have to actively dig for it.
Yes, that feeling of digging, that slight struggle, is exactly what builds the active vocabulary road. You are mimicking the surprise of a real conversation.
That is a great word for our learners. To mimic something means to copy the behavior or feeling of something else. You are mimicking the pressure.
Exactly. But there is a limitation here. We have to be realistic. Even with the word breakdown method and spaced retrieval, you will still forget words sometimes.
Which is a terrible feeling. We all want a perfect memory. We want to sound smart and professional 100% of the time.
But that is just not human. Native speakers forget words all the time. The difference is that native speakers do not panic when it happens. They just use a filler phrase while they search.
That is true. If my manager asks a question and I draw a blank, I do not have to stare at him in silence. I can buy myself a few seconds.
Exactly. You can buy yourself time. And that is the final piece of the active vocabulary puzzle. You need a recovery plan for when the road breaks.
Because no matter how much friction you add to your practice, you will eventually draw a blank in a real conversation.
Yes. So instead of panicking or inventing a new machine name, you use a filler phrase. Let's build a quick recovery toolkit right now.
Okay, I am ready. What is a good phrase for when my manager asks for a number and I do not know it off the top of my head?
You can say, "Let me double check that for you." It sounds professional, and it gives your brain 5 seconds to search for the exact answer.
Let me double check that for you. I like that. It implies I already know the answer, I just want to be perfectly accurate. But what if the conversation is moving very fast?
If it is a fast, casual conversation and a specific word is just completely gone, you can describe it, but you frame it as a quick memory slip. You can say, "I am losing the word, but it is similar to..."
So yesterday at the printer, instead of wildly clicking my hands, I could have said, "I am losing the word, but it is a tool that connects pages."
Exactly. That is so much calmer. Your coworker would instantly say, "A stapler," and you save your professional reputation.
Okay, that is much better. I wish I had used that recovery phrase. But let's bring this all together. How do we actually apply this system every day?
It all comes back to the word breakdown method. I challenge our listeners to choose just 3 new words or phrases today. Not a list of 50, just 3.
Right. If you try to build 50 new active roads in one day, your brain will reject all of them. It is too much construction work.
Exactly. Step 1. Pick a word and find your real-life trigger. Imagine the exact room, the context, and the specific person you will be talking to.
Step 2. Write a personal, true sentence. Make it about your actual job, your family, or your weekend plans. Never use the textbook sentence.
And step 3. Add friction. Practice saying it out loud, then walk away. 10 minutes later, try to retrieve it while you are doing something completely different.
Like making dinner. You suddenly ask yourself, wait, what was that phrase? And you say, off the top of my head, we have 20 clients. You practice retrieving it under mild distraction.
Yes, and as a bonus step, write down 1 recovery phrase. If you draw a blank, know exactly what you will fall back on to buy yourself those crucial few seconds.
So here is a quick production task for our listeners right now. What is one situation this week where you might need to buy some extra time?
Think about that specific situation. Do you need to say, "Let me double check that," or "I am losing the word"? Choose your phrase and say it out loud right now.
Great. You just started paving a new, reliable, active road.
And this shifts your entire mindset. You stop judging yourself for having a bad memory, and you start actively training your retrieval muscles.
I am definitely going to train my stapler retrieval road this afternoon, just in case I need to attach some important papers tomorrow.
I think you probably should. But before you do that, we need to review all the great vocabulary we used today.
We absolutely do. We covered some highly useful phrases for everyday life. Let's break them down and practice them together in meaning moments.
It is time for meaning moments. This is where we take the most useful phrases from our conversation and practice them together.
I have my notes ready. I promise I will not just fall back on safe vocabulary today.
I am glad to hear that. Let's start with our first phrase today, to draw a blank.
This is what happened to me at the printer. To draw a blank means your mind suddenly goes empty when trying to remember something.
Yes, you can use it in a professional setting. You might say, I am drawing a blank on his name. Can you remind me?
You can also use it for tests, like, I studied for 3 hours, but I just drew a blank during the exam.
That is a great example. Repeat. To draw a blank.
To draw a blank.
Our next phrase is on the tip of my tongue. This is the feeling right before you draw a blank, or sometimes right after.
It means you feel like you know the word. It is right there in memory, but you cannot speak it.
Exactly. You can say, the name of that beautiful restaurant is on the tip of my tongue. Repeat. On the tip of my tongue.
On the tip of my tongue.
Excellent. Now let's look at the phrase you practiced for your manager. Off the top of my head.
This means giving an answer immediately, using only your memory. You are not looking at notes or a screen.
Right. You use it to give a quick estimate, like saying, off the top of my head, we have 20 clients. Repeat. Off the top of my head.
Off the top of my head.
Our fourth phrase is to fall back on.
This means to use a safe option when your first plan fails, like falling back on a simple English word because you forgot the advanced one.
Or when you fall back on a funny hand gesture because you forgot the exact word for a common office supply.
Okay, that is fair. You are really enjoying my misery today.
I am. Just a little bit. You can also fall back on a backup plan, or your savings. Repeat. To fall back on.
To fall back on.
Our fifth phrase is to buy yourself time. We talked about doing this in a fast conversation.
It means doing or saying something that gives you a few extra seconds to think.
Yes. If someone asks a difficult question, you buy yourself time by taking a sip of water first. Repeat. To buy yourself time.
To buy yourself time.
Now it is time for Say It Better. Let's upgrade some basic English into natural, confident phrases. Jake, give me the basic version.
Instead of saying, I forget the word right now.
Say it better. I am drawing a blank.
Instead of saying, I almost know the answer.
Say it better. It is on the tip of my tongue.
Instead of saying, I do not know the exact number.
Say it better. Off the top of my head, I am not sure.
Instead of saying, wait, give me a minute to look.
Say it better. Let me double check that for you.
And instead of saying, what is the name of this thing?
Say it better. I am losing the word, but it is similar to.
I am definitely writing that last one down. It is much better than asking for a paper-biting machine.
It really is. Let's finish with a quick guided practice. I want you, the listener, to practice speaking out loud right now.
Imagine your manager just asked you a difficult question about a big project.
You need to buy yourself some time. Tell your manager you will look for the exact answer. Say, let me double check that for you.
Let me double check that for you.
Excellent. Now imagine talking to a friend about a great movie, but you forget the main actor's name.
You want to say you almost have it. Tell them, his name is on the tip of my tongue.
Try saying that out loud right now. His name is on the tip of my tongue.
His name is on the tip of my tongue.
So, do you feel prepared to face the office printer tomorrow?
I do. If I completely forget the word for stapler again, I will just calmly tell my coworker I am double-checking the metal machine's true name.
That is a perfectly confident recovery. And that is really the main takeaway from today. Your memory is not a bucket. It is a massive network of roads.
Right. And to build an active road, you cannot just read a list of words on paper. You have to physically practice retrieving them.
You find a real-life trigger, write a personal sentence, and practice saying it out loud under a little bit of mild distraction.
And most importantly, you forgive yourself when you draw a blank. You just use a safe filler phrase to buy yourself a few extra seconds.
Exactly. It is about communication, not perfection. Which brings us to our listener question for today.
We want to know, what is one English word or phrase you completely forgot in the middle of a conversation? Tell us your story in the comments.
I am really looking forward to reading those. I genuinely hope someone else has accidentally ordered angry water at a restaurant before.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with a friend who is also building their active vocabulary. It really helps our show grow.
It certainly does. Remember, true fluency is not having a perfect memory. It is knowing exactly what to do when you lose a word.
That is a great reminder. I will definitely keep that in mind at work.
Thank you for listening to Everyday English Learning. I'm Lily.
And I'm Jake.
Have a wonderful week, and keep practicing those new roads.
See you next time.